Good morning. This is Doug Dennison. You are listening to First Title National Real Estate Radio. Special treat this week. We are broadcasting live from Indianapolis, Indiana. We are at the 64th National Auctioneers Association Conference. We are thrilled that we've got a whole bunch of guests, some auction VIPs that are here at the NAA Conference, and we're in a booth, and there are hundreds of people mulling around, and again, thrilled to be here. This is hosted by First Title and Escrow, a leading national title company. This broadcast is streaming right now live on 1240news.com, and it will be archived on titlecompany.com and youtube.com. So again, we're thrilled to be here. We're broadcasting live from Indianapolis, Indiana. And Larry Latham, it's great to have you here. And Larry, we've known each other for a long time, but for our listening audience, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Morning, Doug. Well, listen, it's great to be here with you. Thanks so much. Great convention going on here.
Yes.
I've been in this business, and I've been to these conventions now for about almost 35 years. We got a great convention this year with over 1,000 people here. And great dinner last night. Inducted 3 new members in the Hall of Fame. John Dixon, Dennis Cruz, and also Tommy Williams.
Very nice. Very nice. Well, you are a Hall of Fame member, too, and so I'm sitting next to the elite of the elite in the auction business. But tell us a little bit about what you've done. Your company is Ameribid, but you've been in the auction business for a long time. Government auctions have been your specialty. I want to say the first in contracting with the federal government and for Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac, Veterans Administration, and I know there's probably 5 more that I've missed. But how did you get into the business, first of all?
It was totally by accident. My dad was a builder, contractor, and he asked me to go to an auction and buy a backhoe, some bulldozers. Was looking at some buckets and stuff for the backhoes, and so I went. He gave me a list of prices. He said, "Whatever you do, don't pay more than that." And I didn't, but I only ended up with a 19-inch bucket at the end of the day. I was standing in line, and the auctioneer came up, and he was about to leave, catch a plane, and leave. He was from New Orleans, and the auction was taking place in Alabama. So we started talking, and I found out very quickly that it sounded like a really fun business. So I talked to him. I ended up getting his card. 2 weeks later, I ended up going to auction school, learning how to talk fast. Oodle bid, while you bid, tell me on the money, let's go. You've been to buy, I'm going to buy, I'm going to hand 15 to an ad, want to buy, I'm going to now 30 type deal.
Nice.
And so that's basically what happened. I ended up in auction school. My dad was, as I said, a builder developer. And I was at one of the building meetings, and one of the bank guys came in and said, "Larry, I'd like for you to look at a property that we have, and if you would, please help us out on it, because I know you guys build new properties, but this one's not new, but I have a problem. There's a divorce situation, and I need to get out of the property very quickly." Now, this is a true story. So he takes me in, and he shows me this one property, and the property has a hole in the wall going down the hall. And he says to me, "Can you fix that?" I said, "Absolutely, we'll send a crew in." And I said, "Looks like somebody got mad, but they're pissed through the wall." He says, "Absolutely, that's what happened, Larry." He says she told him she's pregnant, and he put his fist through the wall. I said, "Wow, that doesn't make a lot of sense," but we kept walking to the house. We got back to the bedroom. There's a huge hole in the wall. And the banker looked at me, and he said, "He also did this." I said, "Well, wow, that's a big hole." He says, "Yes, that's where he put her head when she told him it wasn't his." So you've got to help me here. Please help me. And I did. I said, "Great, I'll be happy to do it. I just have an auction license. Let's auction that property." And he said, "That's a great idea." So I ran an ad. We auctioned the property, brought $8,000 more than he was going to list it for.
Nice.
And so he started giving me more property. And then a few more banks did. that led to a farmer's home contract with about one first state was, I think, was Alabama and Tennessee, then Georgia, then Colorado and Arizona, and it kept going, and then a VA contract, a HUD contract. So about 20 years we were the HUD contractors, the VA contractors, Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac contractors, and that's what we did. So we sold somewhere over 150,000 properties total for those agencies over that period of time, plus other things for the Department of Defense, et cetera. But I got into the auction business purely by accident, being at the right place at the right time, at the wrong place at the right time, at the right place at the wrong time.
Well, give me a guess, because I know you probably haven't been able to count them, but how many real estate properties do you think you sold and closed for the federal government?
I think the number probably is somewhere over 150,000. Sometimes you'll see the total 175, somewhere between there. I would imagine. But that's over a period of 30 years, so it's been a while.
It's great, and your company is AmeriBid. Tell us a little bit about AmeriBid.
Well, AmeriBid's a national company. We deal basically in real estate, mainly commercial real estate, but also residential real estate, farm and ranch. And we're selling real estate all over the country. Our main office is in Tulsa, Oklahoma, which is sort of a central office there. And we also have offices in Salt Lake City, Las Vegas, Nevada, and in Virginia. And then we have offices in Dallas and really scattered around the country quite a bit. So we cover the full range of real estate.
Right now, as you saw at the convention, there are some young faces. They're excited. They're enthusiastic. Why would you tell a young person to get into this business?
Well, it's a great business. I mean, and I really believe it's probably one of the best ways to sell real estate. You're not negotiating down when you're selling it by auction. You're always negotiating up. And you create an urgency that's almost impossible to create any other way. If I set a certain date, time that we're going to sell a property, you know you're going to be there to either buy it or someone else is going to own it. Unlike putting a sign in the yard and waiting for somebody to make an offer, the offer's usually not what you're asking. You negotiate down. There's no given time of when that offer is going to come in. And a lot of folks wait around thinking if it ages a little bit, and if it is aged a little bit, the price is going to keep going down, which is true. At the auction, you set the date, you're in, you're out of the property usually in 4 to 6 weeks. It's a great marketing tool.
This conference is a way for professionals to get even better, and there's educational seminars. The National Auctioneers Association does a great job. Again, this is the 64th National Auctioneers Association Conference. Again, we're broadcasting live from Indianapolis, Indiana, at the JW Marriott. We're in a trade show. I'm going to say there's probably 150 vendors here, and people are strolling through. What do you think the future is for auctions?
I think the future is very bright for auctions. I think more and more is getting done now over the internet, so electronic auctions, and the ability to bid while you're on the go. Instead of having to show up at a particular spot to buy an item, you can now do it on your phone, you can do it on your iPad, you can do it on your computer from your office. Makes it very simple to buy things, and it's also broadened the market for the auction industry from being a market that might be somewhere in the neighborhood of someone living within 100 and 150 miles of where you were. Now they can bid from all over the world.
You can actually be home in your flip-flops and T-shirt and be bidding on a property 1,000 miles away through help from brokers and help from your people and doing due diligence. It's really an amazing thing. It's really changed. Although there are so many great auctioneers that still love to do it in ballrooms, on site, and so it's remote and internet is coming on strong, but there's still a need for the on-site auction, the excitement, and I think it's a great best of both worlds.
You know, and really the live auctions is what's so exciting, because it's impossible to duplicate that by looking at a computer or just watching the bids go up online. So, it's really a different feel if you're there. And Americans are the most competitive people in the world, and they love to compete against each other, and they love to win. And that's what makes auctions so much fun, both for the auctioneer and the attendees. And most of the time, because of that, the properties do bring more money, and that makes it a great day for the seller.
Well, again, you have done 150,000 properties in your career. You've got a great company, Ameribid. How can people get a hold of what's happening in regards to Ameribid? Do you have a website that people can go to find out about auctions?
You know, it's the best thing to do is to go to the Ameribid website, ameribid.com.
Okay.
And all of the information there is the telephone numbers. Everything is on the site. All of our auctions are posted on the site. And any information, if you register with us and you're interested in a particular property in a particular area of the country, be it California, Texas, Florida, and let us know what you're looking for, we'll put you on the mailing list, and you'll get an email or a text message when something comes up in your area.
Very good. Hey, Larry, thank you so much for being on the show. I appreciate it, and it's been great to work with you over the years, and I've enjoyed our friendship.
Doug, me too. It's great to see you. Have a great show here, and looking forward to doing this again next year.
All right.
All right. Thanks so much. Bye-bye.
All right. We've just heard from Larry Latham. We've got Benny Fisher coming up. He is another National Auctioneers Association Hall of Fame member, founder of Fisher Auction, and he's from Pompano Beach, Florida. Benny Fisher is also a friend of mine. I had the privilege of working with him for 12 years. Did so many good things together. And Benny, thank you so much for being on the show, and it's great to see you. I haven't seen you in a couple of years. I think since probably Orlando when we had the NAA Conference and I did a radio show there. But for the people that do not know you, Benny, tell us a little bit about yourself. How did you get into the auction business?
Thank you, Doug, for the opportunity and the privilege of being on the show. Yes, it was the last time you and I personally saw each other. So it's a delight and a privilege to see you again. Our friendship goes deep and long, and I'm honored that you would ask me to be here. I went into the auction business officially in the year 1972. Driven by the fact that I had been called home to handle my father's affairs, and did not want to sell real estate, real property assets via any other method than the auction method of marketing for a lot of reasons. But we began, and it was a rare concept in those days. It's been about 40 years plus. But over the time of my career, we have been uniquely blessed to have people touch our lives and us be able to touch other people's lives in this business. And to be a Hall of Famer was the very epitome of my career as far as I'm concerned, personally.
Well, again, you and I worked together for 12 years, a lot of government properties. We just had Larry Latham in front of us, and he kind of set the high standard for doing auctions for the government. But we did 10,000, 12,000 properties together all across the country, and you have a great family business. You have an upcoming auction that is very exciting. Tell us a little bit about it.
Yeah, we're very honored to have been asked to conduct. We've been engaged to sell the Gianni Versace mansion on South Beach, Dade County, Florida. Wow. That's a name that is probably the design name in the world for both men's and women's clothing. It is not now his property nor the property of his estate. It was formerly owned by him, Then it was purchased by an LLC and a group of individuals from his estate. And over a period of time, for whatever reason, the property was about to be foreclosed upon. And so the debtor, to short-circuit that process, filed bankruptcy, took the protection of the United States Bankruptcy Code. And so then at that point, they tried to make a decision about how to market this property. It has been already, it's been less than 72 hours ago, we were awarded the task, and already, literally, and not, I did not give it this moniker or new name, but it's being dubbed by the media already as the auction of the decade.
Wow.
And we've been contacted by media literally from Belgium and Germany and Switzerland already. And we're anticipating a very exciting sale. The way we were chosen is we're very proud because it's rare when you can get adversarial parties, debtors and creditors, all to agree. Yeah, number one, the method of sale is the best, and then, goodness gracious, to have been the company selected to do it is just, we're overwhelmed and overjoyed.
Do you have a date yet, or is that
September the 17th?
September the 17th, okay. How big is the property? It's I've seen some pictures. It's mammoth, and we're going to make sure that we get your website so people can go and find out about the auction, and I know there'll be pictures up eventually, but it's a big thing. How is it? Is it 5,000 square feet? Is it 10,000, or is it, who knows? It's so big.
Actually, I do not know myself. I have not yet been to the property personally.
Okay.
But I know for a fact that at the time of his ownership, of course, that is Mr. Versace, it was his personal residence. The new group who acquired it turned just a small portion of it into a boutique hotel.
Oh, okay.
So we anticipate that the new owner may opt to either keep both type unique properties going, or it is the premier property because of the nature of its size and notoriety in all of Florida and certainly South Beach. It's the largest, most magnificent mansion, one of a kind, I think, that's ever been built.
Didn't you tell me last night when we got together that there's a story about the pool, that there's you tell the story.
I have been told that the pool, I don't know its size,
right,
and it's not built out of, but that a design portion of it, a small part of I guess the tile or whatever, is actually inlaid with 24-karat gold. Wow.
Well, you talked about you don't know what the new buyer will do with it, and that's kind of the beauty of an auction is you think a buyer will do one thing with it, but they have different ideas. They may use it as a mansion. They may continue it as a boutique hotel. They could do anything. The date is again when? September
the 17th.
Okay. What is your website so people can find out about this exciting sale? And as you say, it is already being called the auction of the decade.
Our web address is simply our name, www.fisherauction.com. I mean, www.fisherauction.com.
Okay.
And that's easy to remember. It's all lowercase. There's no C in the Fisher, and everyone knows how to spell auction, I'm sure, who's listening to us.
Absolutely, absolutely. And I know you've got your team on it, Andre LeBeau and Midge and Francis and Lamar. I'm sure you're going to be up to your ears with calls and interest and media. And I think this is a very good thing for the auction business because it's going to promote the way auctions are being held. You do it so professionally. Your company does it so professionally. And so I'm thrilled that you're here talking to me. And one last thing, because we've got like 2 or 3 minutes before the break, and I need to take a break. But you are also very involved in the foundation for the auctioneers. Tell us a little bit about that.
I'm the outgoing chair of, I served through the chairs and was president. And I'm very proud that during my time of being able to serve, that we took the foundation to a point where we now have our goal is to have $1 million in an endowment fund to be able to support the purposes of NAA. We're one and the same. We're simply the 501c3 fundraising arm. And it's been my privilege to partially, along with Mr. Rowell and some others, bring this foundation to a point of 100% support from both the operational arm and the giving arm, and we have a great future together for the business.
Very good. Well, Benny, thank you so much for being on the show. Again, the auction of the decade, a big mansion down in Miami. You want to go on FisherAuction.com. We've just heard from Benny Fisher, founder and chairman of Fisher Auction Company. Benny, thank you so much, and again, it's a pleasure to have you on the show.
Thank you, Doug, and I appreciate the opportunity because the auction method of marketing is getting exposure through this venue and your efforts that we wouldn't otherwise have. Thank you.
Very good. All right, we've just listened to Benny Fisher and Larry Latham. We are at Indianapolis at the 64th National Auctioneers Association Annual Conference. Thrilled that Mr. Fisher and Mr. Latham were able to be on the show. We're going to be taking a break, and then we'll be back. We've got more people that will be coming on talking about auctions, how they got involved in auctions, and their company. So, again, thank you, Mr. Fisher. Thank you, Larry Latham. Broadcast live from Indianapolis, Indiana. I am your host, Doug Dennison. This show is sponsored by First Title and Escrow out of Rockville, Maryland, with licensing in 38 states across the country, a national title and escrow company. And one more thing before we go for the break, I want to thank DS News. DS News just got a thing on their DS News Daily Dose and a story about this radio show. I'm very thrilled. They have a big conference coming up on September. It's called the 5-Star Conference. They have 4,000 to 5,000 people every year go there. Their last keynote speakers were President Clinton, President Bush, and Mayor Rudy Giuliani. And that was just last year. I don't know who's going to be there this year, but dsnews.com, and I would suggest you go on there and register to get on their daily dose, which is a free email that comes out every day, and it's the basically the top stories of the day. It's free. You'll want to do that. And again, 5-Star Conference coming up in September. We are here at the First Title National Real Estate Radio Show, broadcast live from Indianapolis, Indiana, in the second floor of a JW Marriott. This is being streamed worldwide on 1240news.com and will be archived on titlecompany.com and also youtube.com. We're going to be taking a break. All right, we are back. You are listening to the First Title National Real Estate Radio Show. We are broadcast live from Indianapolis, Indiana. We are at the 64th National Auctioneers Association. We're at a JW Marriott. Exciting times. We're down in a trade mart. There's probably 120 vendors here. There's 1,000 attendees. A great conference. We've listened to Larry Latham and Benny Fisher, both National Auctioneers Association Hall of Fame members, and thrilled to have them on. Our next guest is Kurt Amund. He is the CEO of MarkNet Alliance. And Kurt, it's great to see you again. I think the last time I had you on the show was in Orlando a couple years ago.
It was.
It was. And tell us a little bit about how you got into the company, if you would.
How I got into the auction business?
Yes, the auction business.
Oh, the auction business.
Yeah.
Well, I was almost didn't have a choice. I was brought up in the auction business. went to auction school at the ripe old age of 12. So it's kind of like Doogie Howser of auctions because I wasn't smart enough to be a doctor.
Well, you are now reigning over MarkNet Alliance, and I want to hear about that. It's a great group. I've been involved with it for a few years. Tell us how it formed and how many auction firms are involved right now.
Well, it's a fantastic group of guys. We're real proud about the members that we have now. Have about 60 franchises all over the country, and they're made up of some of the top auction companies in the United States, as well as an affiliate in South Africa. And it has turned into a real force for those members. Last year we conducted nearly 6,000 auctions, with about 3,800 of those being online-only auctions. So it has provided tools for the members for them to grow their individual companies, and it's just been great. It's been a good ride.
Well, you talk a little bit about internet auctions. Do you see that as something that is growing in interest from buyers and sellers and auction firms?
Exponentially. And you can track that, through our group. 3 years ago, there was probably 20% of the auctions of the group's auctions were done online, and now it's just a little over half.
Really,
nearly 60%, and that's just in 3 years, and you're seeing that industry wide, and you're seeing that with retail right now. With Best Buy and places like that have problems with what's called showrooming, where people walk into the store and check out the product, go home and order it online, and that's the way that today's consumer is changing. They like to do business online.
Well, it's exciting to be in a ballroom or on site, but people just don't have enough time.
Well, and I've been a traditional auctioneer.
Sure.
Graduated auctioneer school in 1982. So I've sold thousands of live auctions, and they're exciting. But if you don't think your heart doesn't start pumping when the clock's running down and you're bidding against somebody online, then it gets pretty darned exciting. And until you've experienced it, you wouldn't believe it. So there's excitement in that process as well.
Well, auctions are the fairest and most transparent way to sell real estate, in my opinion, and I've been in the business for 20 plus years. It seems like more and more people are anxious to do auctions, to buy from auctions. They feel much better about getting on the internet and doing it, and that's just a matter of the internet is still kind of new for us.
Sure.
It's changed the world, but now people are interested in staying at home, not driving to the hotel that's an hour and a half away, but actually staying at home and bidding on it. And
it's not the auction industry that is changing this process.
Okay.
It's the consumer.
Yes,
you're right. The consumer is that's the way they prefer to buy. So whether or not the auction industry adapts to it or not, we have no control over that. So it's kind of like fighting the waves.
Tell us what you think. Put your crystal ball on for a minute, if you would. What do you think is going to be the future for auctions in the next 5-10 years?
Well, that's $64,000 question,
isn't it?
Because 5 years ago, no one could have predicted what's going on online now. So it's and we have this discussion in our office frequently, and none of us feel safe forecasting past about a year because of the amount of change that's coming. But I think you're going to see more transactions take place online. You're going to see a lot of consolidation in the industry. Right now we are very similar to the private treaty industry 30 years ago, where there were a lot of individual mom and pop operations. They were dominant in their town, and of course now in the private treaty side of things, most everyone's a franchise. Where they've got that power, that franchise, and that network to market property. And I think you're going to see the same kind of changes go on the auction industry.
How do people get a hold of you and your MarkNet Alliance? I want to shout out to some of your great founders. I saw Chris Pratt last night, and Tommy Rao, J.J. Dower, who is just coming off of being the NAA president. And my gosh, he's so involved and been such a force for auctions. How do people get a hold on the internet for your company, sir?
If they just go to www.marknetalliance.com, they can view at most any given moment. We've got 400 auctions going on, and probably 15 or 20,000 items up for sale in online auctions.
Very good. Hey, Kurt, thank you so much for coming on. It's great to see you again. You do a marvelous job, and continue great work.
You do the same.
All right. That's Kurt from MarkNet Alliance. We've got a newcomer coming on, Walt Driggers from Transon Auctions out of Florida. And again, we've had some elite people on this show so far. We've had Larry Latham, Benny Fisher, Kurt Ahman, and now we got Walt Driggers, who is also elite with Transon Auction Properties. Walt, it's great to see you again. And tell us a little bit about Transon, if you would.
Okay, Doug. Hey, thanks for inviting me here. I appreciate it. So, Transon we've created about 12, 13 years ago now, because we saw the need to be able to pool our resources and our experiences to better serve the clients. And as I walk around this trade show, which is a great trade show.
It is a great trade show.
I've noticed that there's a big movement in for consolidation for auction companies. We have United Country. We have MarkNet. We just had Kurt Allman here from MarkNet.
Yep.
And we're seeing Larry Latham that you just had on with Ameribid.
Yep.
And you have Transon. And they all offer different components to the companies, but they all are moving towards providing a better product for the end user, the client, the seller. And it's real interesting to watch this consolidation take place, and I think it's good for everybody.
Well, it kind of makes sense if you can pool your resources, you can pool your marketing, pool your education and licensing, because you're in Florida, you're in Ocala, Florida, and you might get a lead from a place in Ohio, and you're not going to run up to Ohio to do it, but you've got people that you know and trust, and you give them a referral. You work with the seller, they do the auction. You might actually go up there for the auction, but you've got help, and I think that's something very important.
That's absolutely it. And as Kurt Allman was alluding to and talking about when he was on, is the internet has made this industry so much larger that you can get buyers from across the country or across the oceans right now. And so the individual auction companies and their communities are having to compete with national auction companies. So this consolidation gives these individual companies the ability to compete by give them technology that they couldn't afford to do individually, because now collectively with their chosen aggregator, if you will, they can have better technology, they can have better marketing, they can share the expenses for that, they can outsource some of the repetitive business like the marketing, as you indicated.
Right.
And it's just, and by doing that, you get more bidders. More bidders means more competition. More competition means more money for the seller, which is good for everybody. That's what it's all about.
Have you seen anything different in the auction world in the last 5 years? I know there's more internet auctions, but do you see anything different that you're very busy. I see all the ads. I see you on the website. You're doing so many different auctions. Is there something different about what's happening now? Because there seems to be more enthusiasm for auctions right now.
Well, there is, and I remember when eBay came to bear, that everybody in our business was frightened of them.
Yep.
But they made auction a household word. And then our entire society is moving towards instant gratification.
Yes.
We have drive-through restaurants. We have instant everything.
Yes.
And this gives the seller time control of the real estate transaction. So it takes that long waiting process out, and it more suits our instant, high-speed society.
Well, that's great. How do people get a hold of you, Walt?
They get a hold of us by the website. Normally, for me, they call me on my cell phone, or they send me an email. But it's I don't know if you want me to give them my...
give me your information and your website.
The website is www.transon.com, and I'm just wtriggers@transon.com is the email.
Very good. Walt, thank you so much for being on the show, and I appreciate it.
Thank you, Doug.
All right, we just had Walt Driggers from Transon Auction Properties from Ocala, Florida. We have Bill Menish coming on from Sperry Van Ness Auctions. Again, this is a busy place. There's hundreds of vendors here. There's 1,000 different attendees, and it is really exciting show, but it's kind of crazy right now, isn't it?
A little bit crazy. What a great location, though. Indianapolis has really shined brightly here at the NAA Conference and Show.
Yes.
Been a terrific host. NAA has outdone themselves at this location and with this event. I mean, we're just going to be more thrilled. And the great thing, Doug, it's coming to Louisville next year, which is where we're located.
Okay.
So we're really gearing up for being the host city next year. We've got a lot to offer, so it's just going to continue. But, yeah, it's been a great stretch.
Tell us, how did you get to the auction business, Bill?
My story's a little weird. I started out as a broadcaster.
I can tell. I can hear the voice.
I was in that business for 20 years, and most recently the morning anchor at the NBC affiliate in San Diego. And an auctioneer by the name of Chuck Dreyer, who unfortunately is no longer with us. But Chuck saw me. I used to donate my services for nonprofits to be their MC and occasionally auction, though I didn't know what the heck I was doing. And he saw me do that and told me I missed my calling. And to make a long story short, I was actually up for a great job in Chicago, the equal job to what I was doing in San Diego, at a severe pay decrease. And that woke me up to the fact that business was changing dramatically. And some time had gone by, but I picked up the phone, I called Chuck, and I said, tell me more about auctions. Went to auction school, immediately got several designations, the BAS, the AARE, eventually the CAI, and no looking back. I don't miss broadcasting at all. I absolutely love selling real estate at auction.
Well, Sperry Van Ness is a great company, big commercial company. Tell us a little bit about Sperry Van Ness.
You know, the great thing, great question, because I heard you ask Walt a little bit ago about what's changing in the industry, and this ties directly into your question. I think what is really changing in traditional real estate, it's a local activity. You really build your name in your community, and you get a brand, and you work with repeat customers in that area, very regional. Auctions are becoming a very national platform. Sperry Van Ness recognizes that, and that's why we're pushing through auction services to have significant players in somewhere around 10 to 12, 15 different locations around the country where they can work with advisors in the brokerage offices, and these auctioneers will be inside the brokerage offices as well. And what a great collaboration, which is the spirit of Sperry Van Ness anyway.
Yes.
But collaboration among our team and then among others. We're the only one that I know of that constantly invite other brokers to our Monday morning phone calls to hear what we have on tap that they can be a part of. We want them to be part of the process. So the great thing, Doug, is not only are we putting these 10, 15 auctioneers in these locations around the country, but we're working outside of Sperry Van Ness with all of the other players in commercial real estate to work with them to help sell their properties at auction. It's an incredible spirit of collaboration.
Well, you talked about the spirit of Sperry Van Ness.
Sure.
Tell the outside public what is the spirit. I know what the difference is, the Sperry Van Ness difference. Give us that information.
Well, and I love to share this. There's a great video that we share that tells the story so very, very well. But what it is Sperry Van Ness realized that commercial real estate had really gone inside. You had some tremendous brokers. I mean, no harm in this categorization, but they would work their database. Yep. They'd get a listing, and they would not tell the world about their listing. They would tell their database about their listing, and they would be able to keep both sides of the transaction. Yep. Money-wise, sound like a good plan for an individual, but for a seller, it's a terrible plan. Yep. And what Sperry Van Ness is doing is working this collaboration, getting it out there, offering great incentives to other brokers to come bring buyers or bring sellers, whatever the case may be, to work together on the behalf of the seller. That's what we're supposed to be doing anyway, isn't it? What's in the best interest for the seller.
Best interest of the seller. And
I think Sperry Van Ness gets that wholeheartedly.
So as soon as you get a listing, you're telling the world.
The world. And, of course, you know, when it comes to auctions, we're the best marketers in the business because we have a time-defined sale.
Yes.
We have to have bidders there the day of the sale, or we're not going to get the results that we're trying to provide for our sellers. So, yes, we tell the world. We definitely do it on the auction side, but our brokers who are handling traditional commercial real estate sales are blasting this information out as well. The more information, the more knowledge, the more people know, the better the results.
Well, I was thrilled to have about half an hour with Jerry Anderson yesterday.
Oh, Jerry.
And we had breakfast together and shared some ideas.
Sure.
Tell us about the auction team.
Yeah.
For Sperry Van Ness.
Did he talk to you about Motley? I would imagine.
Yes.
Yeah, Mark Motley and Tim Dudley are the newest members of Sperry Van Ness Auction Services. We've actually had a great opportunity to spend a lot of time with them here at the convention. Very excited. They have a tremendous operation, and we're so proud that they're now flying the Sperry Van Ness flag. So we're thrilled to have them on board. And Don Earler and myself are out of Louisville, Kentucky.
Yep.
I heard you mention, you talked to Benny Fisher earlier, and Lewis Fisher is out of Louisville. David Gilmore out of Louisiana. We already have a very strong presence in the auction market, but as I mentioned earlier, that presence is just going to continue to grow. Part of what we're doing here, we're talking to other folks that are interested in finding a national platform. They're already doing great in their regional area, but they're looking for that national flag to fly. They're looking for that spirit of cooperation between brokerages all across the country. It is so nice when you have boots on the ground. You working for a lender. The lender wants, here I am in Louisville, Kentucky, and they're selling something in Phoenix, Arizona, and we get on the phone to the Sperry Van Ness office in Phoenix, and they get out there and really start investigating. We cooperate with each other, again, in the best interest of that seller. It's just a beautiful plan, but it's a growing plan, and we're looking forward to what it's going to bring over the next several years.
Well, you specialize in commercial, and again, there's hundreds of auctioneers here that do a great job, but may not have the expertise in commercial.
You're absolutely right.
Or certainly if they get a lead, because they all have friends at banks and developers, and all of a sudden, you're in Louisville, Kentucky, but a lead comes up in Hollywood, California.
Sure.
So if you could take a number and call and say, do you have a broker that's a great commercial broker? And the answer is yes. I mean, that's good for you. That's good for the auctioneer.
And it's great for the seller.
Yes.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's funny you mentioned that we specialize in commercial, and we absolutely do. But I'll tell you, I'm sure you know this. What we've really seen over the last 2 years, the biggest problems the lenders have are large portfolios of single-family residences that were part of investment portfolios, and we have been selling large portfolios of these at auction in a ballroom setting, driving some tremendous prices. So the lender is thrilled when we're able to overachieve what they thought that we would bring at auction. So yes, we do absolutely specialize in commercial, but we've been selling a lot of single-family residential in large portfolios as well.
Well, I know Lewis Fisher very well. In fact, we come from St. Augustine, Florida. I see him once or twice a week. You just had some very successful bankruptcy auctions in Denver and Maryland, and it sounds like you're going gangbuster. I think Lewis has got some more business.
Oh, Lewis is great. Yeah, he definitely can find the business, no doubt about it. If I can, I'll tell you a story about the one. My partner, Don Earler, standing out in front of us right now. We just sold a really unique property down in Louisville, Kentucky.
Okay.
This was just May 23rd, I believe was the date. It was the one of only 2 pre-Civil War homes in Louisville, Kentucky, still remaining, and the only one with the slave quarters still intact on the back of this house. It had been turned into a commercial space, and it was completely redone in 2006. And again, talk about results, we told them, but that we thought it would bring between $400,000 and $500,000 at absolute auction.
Right.
We sold it with another piece of commercial property as well. It did very well. Sold for $539,000 at auction.
Nice.
Again, they were thrilled. It was a lender approved absolute auction. So another area where we've been doing a lot of work, obviously because of the downturn.
You mentioned a word for the people here. Everyone knows it, and that's absolute.
Yes.
For the general public and real estate brokers that listen to us either live on 1240news.com or archived on titlecompany.com or on youtube.com, what is absolute? What is the difference?
Absolute is what an auction was intended to be.
Okay.
It is open the bidding, and the highest bidder wins regardless of the price. I mean, that's what an auction is.
Okay.
Along the way, they've changed it up and reserves and all all these different approaches. We're very blessed, and it's a regional situation, by the way. In Louisville, Kentucky, an absolute auction is absolutely accepted. It may not be accepted in Nashville, Tennessee. They are used to working with the reserve auctions, and their people come and participate at a reserve auction. In Louisville, if it's reserve, your attendance is going to be dramatically cut because our auction attendees want to go to an absolute sale where they know the property is going to sell.
Well, I think what it is if it's absolute, they know that it's going to sell, and they're willing to risk their time and energy and money, because it takes time and due diligence to look at a commercial property, certainly. If it's absolute, they can take the time. Now you've got more bidders.
Right.
Now you've got more competition. That usually means great things for a
no doubt about it. Well, we do, too. I mentioned a minute ago that we're doing the large portfolios of single-family homes. We'll create a website that is strictly about that sale, the 33 properties, for example, that we have for sale in this opportunity. And what we'll do is we'll send a video crew, and the crew will go through each of these 33 homes one time. And they'll go with a third-party property evaluator who will fill out this checklist that we created. And we will walk through open house videos, the pictures, that third-party evaluation, and we'll plus all the other due diligence.
Sure.
And we will put it on the website. And then that's it. We don't bother those tenants again for the rest of the process. And the buyers make the buying decision based on the videos, the photos, and all the due diligence that's on that website, and they come out in droves to purchase these properties. In fact, we only upset one small group at that auction. You know who those are?
No.
Our regulars who are upset because we're bringing such good values that they can't play.
Sure.
So it really has worked beautifully.
Bill Menish, how do people get a hold of you and Sperry Van Ness Auction?
Well, thank you very much. I'll give you my email if I can.
Okay.
Bill.Menish.
Yep.
Menish is spelled Menish. Again, Bill.Menish@svn.com, or you can call us at 502-939-0399.
Very good. Thank you, Bill, so much for being on the show. A great trade show. We're broadcasting live from Indianapolis, Indiana, at the 64th National Auctioneers Association Annual Conference. Bill, thanks for being on the show.
Doing an outstanding job, Doug. Thank you very much.
Appreciate it. All right, folks, what a pleasure it's been to be here at the 64th National Auctioneers Association Annual Conference. We're broadcasting live. We have had really hundreds of people walk by. Here is our lineup. It was just amazing today. We had Larry Latham, who's a National Auctioneers Hall of Fame member, Benny Fisher, a National Auctioneers Hall of Fame member, founder of a Fisher Auction Company in Pompano Beach. Larry Latham is founder of Ameribid. He's out of Las Vegas, Nevada. We had Kurt Ullman, CEO of MarkNet Alliance from Nokomis, Illinois. We had Walt Driggers from Transon Auction Properties in Ocala, Florida. And then we had Bill Menish from Sperry Van Ness Auctions out of Louisville, Kentucky. We have been thrilled with all of these people calling in. And again, this is a program that is sponsored by TitleCompany.com. First Title and Escrow, a leading national title and escrow firm. You want to go on their website, which is TitleCompany.com. We provide title services for auction firms, real estate firms, bankers, developers, and investors across the country. So go on to TitleCompany.com. You'll find out about our services. I want to say thank you again for listening. I will be back in St. Augustine next week. I'll be flying back later today. I want to thank everybody from listening from this beautiful remote site at Indianapolis, Indiana, the site of the 64th National Auctioneers Association Annual Conference. I want to thank Hannes Combest, the CEO of the National Auctioneers Association, and Curtis Kitchen for allowing me to set up today and bring this to you live.